Yo, Aaron. Are you ready for some wrestling? He's got some kind of special shoulder spikes for the occasion this time. This is their third fight, right? There's just so much build-up behind this. Every time they fight, there's even more behind their motivations. Reiner, I feel like, has a little bit more to fight for this time. Eren! Well, that was fast. I mean, Reiner was just, like, dead a couple minutes ago. Eren did a lot, and he got the Warhammer Titan. So we got another fight coming. Even more to look forward to. So much build-up between these two, it's crazy. I kinda love it. Man, this whole sequence was just so insane. It was so crazy. But was this a victory? Did they really win though? Sure, they destroyed the military, and got the Warhammer Titan. Destroyed the navy, crushed the infrastructure of the entire city. But is that a victory? Is that really? Yes, kind of. But somehow we've all still lost. What is there even left to do at this point? But Gabby has not had enough. She's gonna win another war by herself. Declaration of war indeed. Very clear message they sent. So it seems like Marley is basically done here. That was a pretty crushing blow. But now, isn't the whole world going to be against them? Did they not just play right into what Willie Tybur wanted? They have reinforced this Eldian devil narrative, which, I mean, to be fair, like, what options do they have, right? Like, that's what people already believed, and therefore we're going to crush them. I feel like there are some things I just don't understand yet about the full picture of the world, because otherwise this might be a huge mistake. Even morality aside, just if the goal is simply survival of paradise, paradiso, or whatever at any cost, they just started something huge. This was a huge move, but this is just the beginning. This is the first shots of the war. What do they know that I don't? I wonder. Assassin's Bullet. And it keeps going. This whole sequence is just so insane. It's so crazy. I love how they're using this blimp as like a tool for maneuvering with the gears. I'm so curious to see how the scouts interact. We haven't seen them have like a behind the scenes yet, or like a meeting. There's gotta be a lot of internal conflict right now. And external conflict, probably. They can't all be in agreement here, right? Yeah, already you can like just see it in their faces. Armin has like one of the biggest burdens to carry right now, I think. Well, some things never change. Still calls him Captain. You're never too powerful to get an ass kicking from Levi. Yep. Speaking of conflict. Oh, is he rogue? Did he go rogue? Yeah. That's sort of a relief. So he took this upon himself to do this. Then I guess at some point they decided to come here in support or something like that, or maybe to get him. Yeah. Good, there is some goodness left among the scouts. He's become a pretty good leader, actually. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh, thank God. The way that was set up, I thought he was gonna die or something. And the name of the episode is Assassin's Bullet. Look at that warm heart. I feel like there's a culture difference between the old and the new. Yeah, you could feel like these three are just different. Aww. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They are special. Aw, damn, I love that. I'm so proud of him for carrying on the legacy of heartfelt physical contact in this show. Started by Reiner, passed down through him, and culminating in this nice embrace with John and Sasha. But yeah, it's kind of cool and scary at the same time how you can tell there's a split between John, Sasha, Connie, and like the new order, sort of represented by Flush. Something went right, I think, for the cadets we came up with. Part of it was probably the timing of it, you know, like graduating right in time for the second attack and being there for each other through that, like the whole chapel battle, seeing the sacrifices they made for each other, remembering a simpler time when the enemy was just like crazy humanoid monsters as opposed to like crazy humans. But I'll bet part of it is also Erwin's absence. Erwin created a culture of like loyalty, bravery. I think it was in the last episode I was talking about, like, who's going to be the adult. It does feel a little bit like a power vacuum or a leadership vacuum. And so it might seem like a small thing. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But looking at the three of them, it felt like the vanguard of like a forgotten era. You know, like an era when there was something else, there's something better. And they never really had it all figured out. Like, Sasha and Connie are, in their way, like, simple in a very nice and pure way. So they're not going to be the ones to, like, take this whole thing on. But they're really good. So for people like that, what do you do but cling to the people that you care about? Sometimes that's good enough, but they're quickly losing out to, like, this wave, this tide of just crazy war and resentment and rage. I think maybe the issue will be forced for them. They do have something special, especially amongst the three of them. So what happens if they keep going down this road? It either breaks them or they actually make a stand for something, I think. You know you love it. You know you love it. They all just love each other so much. What a question. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Oh, no. I'm still scared, because she's got a gun in her hand. They're focusing on the three of them. It's called Assassination Bullet. There you go. Talk her down, Falco. There's still hope for you kids. Make different choices than others. That's tough. And they didn't last long either. Damn. Part of the tragedy of Gabby's character, I think, is the fact that it's so clear to us watching that the story she's telling herself about getting out of the system is a lie. It's supposed to give her belief by design, but there's no actual hope. That being said, just looking at it through her eyes, I think that she liked her world, and she actually cares a lot about people in her world. So from her perspective, it is just a pure tragedy. And how is she not supposed to want revenge? And while he didn't say it, I'm guessing part of Falco's answer is that he cares about Gabby, right? Like, there's still things that are really important in front of them. And I think that might be a theme that's being built, because we just had that moment of the three scouts, right? Like Sasha, Connie, and John. That is itself a thing that's special and of value despite all the craziness. And Reiner also, I think. Reiner previously was fighting for his side, whereas now I feel like he's fighting for the kids and maybe fighting as a way to, like, get out of this whole thing. Not have to repeat the mistakes that he experienced with, like, Berthold and Annie and Marcel. This kid, man, he's smart. Yeah, he sees right through it. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Talk her out of it, Falco. He's just not strong enough. Like, Gabby is just too powerful, her personality. It's tough because he's so reasonable, he's gonna hesitate and, like, carefully think about what she's saying. But she's convicted. It's way harder for her to, like, think about what he's saying with all the rage she has. Once again, kindness gets you killed. And that's the last shot that she took this episode. And... oh no! You'll get him next time, Gabby. She's already decided. There you go, an adult. Stop her! Tackle her. It's too late. I already know it's too late. One of the very few. Oh no, and if he doesn't do it, this is gonna weigh on him for the rest of his short life. Oh, he's going with her! We got a Deku All Might situation here. I was relieved for a second, but now I realize it just made it so much worse. I'm so on edge right now. Oh. No! Sasha! I knew it, and I still got pissed off by it. Assassin's bullet. They were just a little bit too friendly at the start of this episode, the three of them. Well, I'm very upset. Very direct cycle there. Like Gabby mentioned seeing the gate soldier shot by Sasha. So here we are. But now what? And they troll us with like a rifle mid-card too. She's still going. Thank you. Falco coming in clutch once again. Yes. We are eating soon. You can have all the potatoes you want. At least she died the way she lived, dreaming of food. John won't do this, if he's who I think he is. Even strategically they have value, no? Like, well, maybe they don't know about the child soldiers. They might not have figured that out. They're not a threat anymore. Oh, did they recruit them? I was wondering who this was. Oh, they don't know yet. Yeah, there you go. There's just absolutely no reason to kill them at all. So that's a relief. You got him. What kind of game is he playing? I'm so confused. Don't get my hopes up if there's a chance. Don't get my hopes up if there's a chance of her living. Please let her live. Please let her live. What is going on? I thought the Levi thing happened a little bit too quickly. He wasn't going to be dead from that. Wait. I'm a little bit confused here. So Yelena is loyal to Zeke, who is a part of this plan. But why? Very honest. I wouldn't blame you, at all. Levi cut him out, but didn't kill him. For the second time. You destroyed a lot more than that. Right. Okay, well they're aware of it. That's true, there's a long history of that. Damn you. I hate you. I think it was meat. Yeah. I feel like he's lost it. Oh, hurts to see this. He's so young and innocent. And they retook their land. But it didn't end there, did it, Eren? Oh, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. I guess Sasha won't be having to make any moral decisions after all. But the others will. I feel like the conflict between Eren and John just went to totally new heights. Like, they've always been in conflict, but they were rivals. They were like friendly rivals. Now, that's gone. This is too much. They're too opposed at this point. As painful as it is, it's also really compelling, obviously. It's very interesting. I think the show does a pretty good job clearly showing that there are very, very few, if any, good choices. Like, Eren's path to this destruction is at least understandable, like how he got there. He does have a lot to lose. There is a huge threat to him and his people that is not his fault, at least I don't think so. Gabby's rage and desire for vengeance is understandable. The characters making choices to support Eren even though they think he's wrong is understandable. The world is naturally crazy. There is a lot of darkness, and that just sets you on a path and you make the best of bad situations. situations, right? And sometimes there are no good options, especially if you care about survival, which everyone does, right? Like everybody wants to survive. And you can talk about values and virtuously or blue in the face, but it means sort of nothing for most people, for just about everybody, when faced with like a life or death situation. And that's sort of what the characters are in. So I get it. That being said, I think there's a difference between that, like understanding it and thinking it's right, and saying that there are no good or bad actions here. Like to me, there are clearly some bad actions happening and clearly some good actions happening. And by a similar token, villainous actions and heroic actions, even if I wouldn't go so far as to label any of the characters heroes or villains, except for Erwin, who's a clear hero. And for me, one way to sort of reduce or focus in on what are the villainous actions, it's the things people do that feel wrong, that they know are wrong, that they do in order to achieve some desired effect, like survival, which is, again, a perfectly understandable goal. Things like killing civilians, betraying comrades, like Zeke, for example, seems to have used his loyal friends as pawns. Although I might be misunderstanding that. I think what these decisions largely come down to is this sort of like ends justify the means type of thinking, where I want this thing, and so a certain amount of evil, a certain amount of things I know to be wrong are okay in order to get there. But I think there are a bunch of problems with this sort of philosophy. Firstly, it's a total slippery slope. Like, if you're believing a goal is desirable, makes any ends towards that goal acceptable, then your barometer for what makes something moral is wanting it. But the problem is anybody can want anything, and so almost anything is justified. Just about everybody alive believes that what they want is the correct thing. But very few people actually understand things. Very few people are actually right. So that's not a good enough test of whether or not something is moral. Secondly, once we're in the realm of orienting ourselves exclusively along the lines of what our goals are or what our concrete objectives are, we're assuming that we even can trace the outcomes of our actions, which in a complex world is incredibly difficult. Especially when you consider not just this current thing you're working on, but like all future effects of that thing. Like time continues, right? Humanity continues. And related to that, I'd say a third thing is if we're trying to tie down morality to something bigger than just our current whims, right? You could say that it's about survival, but not just the individual survival now, but like humanity's survival. And so in order for something to work morally along these lines, it would have to work if widely applied by many people. And this kind of thinking, this ends justify the means thinking, just leads to destruction. I mean, that's the whole thing behind the cycle of violence. It can't just be people acting from their most base natures to get what they want, whether it be like revenge or something that they covet or whatever, and overweighting priority on their own feelings and their own thoughts and their own motives, and ignoring the systemic effects that has on others, ignoring the humanity of other people and the tragedy others experience as a result of those actions. And so what I consider to be heroic is not indulging in those whims, not indulging in the easy path of like what I want is the correct thing, and attaching it to something higher, even when that's difficult and even when that can be insanely costly and dangerous, and to accept that willingly. Like I got such a crazy feeling watching Sasha, John, and Connie stand there and reflect on their 6 fallen comrades while everyone else cheered. They are like unwitting heroes. They're not equipped, they are not the leadership types, but they're the only ones, it seems. They're one of few that actually are thinking about things differently. Falco's another one. And that gives them a chance to be heroic, because that's how it is in real life. Like, we're all looking around for who's the strong one, who's the leader, who's going to lead us out of this. But in that situation, probably the person is you, like it's us. And that has to be how it is. It can't just be like waiting for a figure or waiting for circumstances to work out in our favor. It has to be starting with like an individual responsibility and not participating in the wrongdoings, not falling into the easy trappings, even though there's so much pressure to fall into this kind of thinking. Even though people will try their hardest to convince us that because this cause is so pure, you can do whatever you want. You can fall into all your worst elements. You can be hateful. You don't need to take any time to understand the other side. You are just now an agent of like winning, And because everyone is doing that on all sides, there's such a lack of like differential thinking where actually you try to make a stand for something more independent from that and something that is more long lasting, something that's based on moral codes that we probably on some level already know. Like I feel like we actually have figured out something like a workable moral system. It's just that it's very, very difficult to apply in a complex world. So once again, my question is sort of like, well, who's it going to be? It's going to have to be someone here. It's going to have to be like an unlikely hero, an unlikely leader, but so be it. That would be great to see. And I think at some point, a lot of these people, the people who still are thinking about consequences and thinking about like just basic tenets of humanity, make the difficult choice of like getting out of the momentum they're on and just putting a stop to it, even if that costs them greatly. That's the opportunity. That's the heroic opportunity. In a nutshell, it's not just that everything's okay and that no one's a hero or is a villain. There is a hierarchy to it, even if there's no like absolute best choice or, absolute moral choice, absolute villainous choice. There are way more nuanced views and way more nuanced strategies to be found that are going to be more satisfying and healthier. And just because that's difficult to do doesn't make that not the case. And just because we can understand their actions doesn't mean that's not the case. You know what I mean? So I'm waiting for it. Even though, like always, my hopes will probably go unmet in terms of like having an optimistic future for the show. But I'm still optimistic. Nothing can crush my spirits. See you guys for the next episode.